Perhaps Bukowski was right when he expressed in his poem The Crunch that people are just not good to each other, maybe because of their own insecurities. I'm not entirely certain about the primary reasons for discrimination and victimization. However, I strongly believe it is crucial to gain a deeper understanding and view these issues through a more accurate lens. In this regard, I find the intersectionality theory to be incredibly important. It has the potential to contribute to the creation of justice and possibly an egalitarian world by fostering awareness of both class and identity and encouraging solidarity. This concept delves into power relations and social inequalities, exploring how different forms of discrimination overlap. In this video, I will try to explore the ever-growing multidisciplinary scholarly field of intersectionality, drawing on the ideas of American philosopher Nancy Fraser. In simple terms, intersectionality theory is all about looking at more than one aspect of marginalization. It's like a tool for understanding things, both a method and a way of thinking. Kimberle Crenshaw, who came up with the term, was a lawyer and realized that the legal system struggled to fully grasp discrimination. In legal terms, people could be discriminated against for gender or race, but not both. This means that one form of systemic oppression might be overlooked. The theory has its roots in critical race theory and black feminism. A common example often cited is when a black man and a white woman could work together in a place without apparent conflict, making it difficult for the legal system to recognize and address the discrimination faced by a black woman in that context. As Anne Sisson Runyan emphasizes in her article, women of color experience a distinct form of racism compared to men of color, just as they encounter a different form of sexism compared to white women. She argues that gender is always intertwined with race, and race is always intertwined with gender. Runyan further notes that how women are racially, sexually, and class-wise marginalized simultaneously and differently depends on historical, cultural, discursive, and structural legacies, as well as contemporary cultural and material forces. To comprehend the marginalization of a woman by another woman, one must consider various aspects of their identity. An intersectional framework encompasses the examination of historical, cultural, discursive, and structural dimensions that shape the intersection of race, class, gender, sexuality, national, and religious identity, among other identities. All these dimensions are interconnected. So, what is identity? It's a social construct. Identity is the internalization of how others see you. It is also linked to self-discovery. Still, identity is very often defined by group membership. It refers to how an individual or group sense of self, including their cultural, social, ethnic, gender, or personal identity, is portrayed. There are many unique definitions of class. I'm not going to dive into this topic of class in this video, but it is mostly known as how Marx and Weber define it. Marx says that class is one's relationship to the means of production. Max Weber, on the other hand, defines class as one's economic position, which is mostly related to the social prestige rather than whether one owns the production or not. Nancy Fraser starts her book Redistribution or Recognition by pointing out that in today's world, social justice is divided into two types. The first one, as the most familiar, is redistributive claims, which seek a more just distribution of resources and goods. Income inequality, limited economic mobility, educational and health inequalities, housing affordability, and so on can be given as examples for this register. Another one is an increasing trend of politics of recognition. Here the goal is to create a difference-friendly world where assimilation doesn't mean equal respect anymore. It is also crucial because it is essential for a person to feel belonging, loved, and accepted. In the absence of recognition, one might experience some mental health issues, or it might even cause her or him to be victimized. Recognition is a matter of justice. Everyone, including straight white men, faces further obstacles when opting to pursue projects and cultivate traits that are culturally coded as feminine, homosexual, or non-white. Some argue that identity politics can be counterproductive, diverting attention from crucial economic issues. This perspective suggests that it divides groups and goes against universal moral norms, hindering unity in the fight against injustice. On the other hand, there is the view that a politics of redistribution, which doesn't consider identity differences, can also be unjust. This perspective suggests it might unintentionally reinforce injustice by making dominant groups' norms universal, pressuring subordinate groups to conform, and not recognizing their unique qualities. These two politics of recognition and redistribution contrast in several points. For example, the redistribution and recognition approaches have different understandings of group differences. While the politics of redistribution treats such differences as unjust differentials, the politics of recognition treats differences either as innocent cultural variations turned into a harmful value hierarchy or as a result of hierarchical transformation. Therefore, they propose different sorts of remedies for injustice. However, the irony is that some might unintentionally perpetuate one type of oppression even while fighting against another. Individuals might use a particular form of identity for leisure comfort or a placebo effect while living hand to mouth. And this is how people are divided to be ruled easily. Fraser's thesis is that justice requires both redistribution and recognition, as neither alone is sufficient. She claims that all oppressed collectivities are bivalent. Virtually, they all suffer both from maldistribution and misrecognition. Nearly every individual who suffers injustice needs to integrate those two kinds of claims. For collectivities resembling the exploited working class facing distributive injustices, the remedy is the politics of redistribution, whereas for collectivities resembling despised sexualities facing misrecognition injustices, the remedy lies in the politics of recognition. She states that neither distributive nor recognition theorists have so far succeeded in adequately subsuming the concerns of the other. She gives the example of an African American Wall Street banker who cannot get a taxi to pick him up, or she says to witness the case of the skilled, white, male, industrial worker who becomes unemployed due to a factory closing resulting from a speculative corporate merger. To be able to explain such examples of injustice, she contends a bivalent conception of justice that encompasses both distribution and recognition, which will be an overarching framework. The remedy might be either one of them. They exist in a dynamic relationship where they mutually affect and shape each other. This perspective rejects the idea of reducing one to the other, highlighting the interdependence and mutual interaction between the economic and cultural dimensions in analyzing social phenomena. So that, perhaps, then we can more precisely analyze the forms of oppression. In short, the journey towards justice is a multifaceted one, requiring both recognition and redistribution through avoiding reductionist approaches to create lasting and transformative change. Therefore, a new synthesis might be needed for justice and a difference-friendly world. Of course, it is not a religion or any dogma to me, but I believe that it can be very functional to identify the forms of discrimination from a broader framework. If there is any misinterpretation, please let me know. And as always, I will be happy to read your opinion. Thank you for listening, and peace out.